Is there a moment when you stop being children and start seeing the world differently? The poem Childhood by Markus Natten will take you on that very journey. Let's explore this timeless reflection together and dive deep into this evocative poem that conveys profound ideas, primarily about the loss of innocence and the gaining of self awareness. This is Sushma Singh, and if you want to keep exploring the beauty of language and literature with me, keep watching Booster Classes. Subscribe now and stay tuned for more. To begin with, let me give you the introduction of this lovely poem. The poem Childhood highlights the process of growing up because here the poet ponders deeply over the timing of childhood's end. And the poet's question suggests that growing up isn't marked by a single event but by series of realizations and moments. And it also emphasizes the poet's inner conflict and search for answers. The transition is perhaps hard to understand, but it is a harsh reality that one grows up someday and becomes aware of realities of life. The poet feels a sense of nostalgia for the lost childhood and finally settles down with the idea that his childhood has gone to some forgotten place, and that place could only be found in an infant's innocent face. Talking about the tone and the style of the poem, you will find the tone, there is a sense of curiosity and reflection with a tinge of nostalgia and optimism. Style, the poem doesn't follow a consistent rhyming scheme but uses occasional rhyming and lot of rhythmic questions. Let me now give you the annotation of the first stanza. Childhood has been considered as a blissful period of one's life. And in this poem, the poet explores the process of growing up and losing the innocence and simplicity of childhood. He looks back with a sense of curiosity, trying to pinpoint when exactly the transition from childhood to adulthood occurred. So he has made number of guesses. He thinks that he might have lost his childhood when he crossed the age of 11. And the repetition of the question, when did my childhood go, actually emphasizes the poet's inner conflict and search for answer. I realize that hell and heaven. So, what is the explanation of this line? Then the poet thought of the day or stage, you can say, when he refused to be a passive listener of information. He started applying reason to what he heard, read, or told. As he has gained a rational and critical outlook, he realized that hell and heaven are merely imaginary concepts as they cannot be located in the physical world. Geography textbooks do not give any location of hell and heaven, and hence they do not exist in reality. He could now differentiate between fact and fiction. It highlights that the shift from childlike simplicity to a more nuanced understanding of existence. Moving on, the poet deliberates on the same question regarding the loss of his childhood. The more he probes into, the more confused he feels. The poet reflected that he might have lost his childhood when he was able to see through the hypocrisy of adults and became critical. He noticed a big gap what adults appeared to be and what they actually were in real life. Simplicity and innocence seem to evaporate into air the moment man crosses the threshold of childhood. Thus, a child lost his faith in the adults who was so far trusted and looked up to. This understanding of the behavior of the adults is a part of his growing up. Adults preach something but followed something else. They themselves are greedy, argumentative, violent, and discourteous. This realization introduces the young mind to the concept of hypocrisy. Adults are actually double faced and crafty. Their words and actions do not match. Indeed, their behavior is full of manipulation and thus a far cry from what they advocate. This realization is a big step towards understanding human complexities and imperfection. In the third stanza, the poet, pondering over the same question, wonders if it was the day when his personality acquired certain individuality which set him free from the prejudiced opinion of the others around him. The poet realized that he was now the master of his own mind, and thus he could take his own decisions because his thoughts are need not to be governed by others now. And this powerful moment of self discovery contributes to leaving childhood behind. He discovered that he started thinking independently and he could use his mind in any way he liked without getting influenced by anyone else. He could generate his own thoughts and ideas, and this filled him with self confidence. He even realized that his own experiences shaped his thoughts, and thus his thoughts were entirely his own. He was able to take his own decision instead of copying others blindly. Intellectual independence is not only the sign of grown up person but also crucial to individual. In the last stanza, the poet has changed his question. Now he's not wondering at what time he has lost his childhood, but he wonders where it has gone. Here he beautifully sums up the process of growing up and the disappearance of particular stage of life that is childhood. The poet believes now that he has lost his childhood completely and he will not be able to regain his childlike purity and innocence because it has become his past now. It has gone to forgotten place that cannot be retrieved. His childhood has become nothing more than a memory for him. He recalls his infancies and believes that his true childhood resides there, that is, in an infant's phase which has no pretense and trusts others unconditionally. The poet suggests that we can relive the pure and unconditional childhood when we are with another infant, and this will lead to self discovery. The life is an irreversible cycle. Childhood once lost cannot be recreated. The poet has taken middle path in this poem. Though the poet grows nostalgic about his childhood loss and regrets the loss of his childhood, which was a beautiful phase of his life, he feels that he can witness childhood in another infant and children. He is also convinced by the advantages of growing up. Childhood stands for innocence and purity, but its loss is compensated by the gain of understanding power in adulthood, that is, gaining of maturity. He can control his own mind and create original ideas now. He gains confidence and becomes an independent thinker. Let's now talk about the theme of this wonderful poem. The poem Childhood focuses on the theme of the biggest loss in life phase, that is, the loss of innocence and faith in the quest of growing up. One of the broader themes of this poem is to inculcate the values of accepting differences, understanding people, becoming sensible, and valuing childhood as well as freedom. Every effort should be made to relive the innocence of childhood in order to make the world a better place to live in. This poem also exposes adults and presents them in their true color. The poet also underlines the fact that intellectual independence is very crucial as growing up involves not just a physical maturation but also a profound internal evaluation. Finally, let's now look at some of the literary devices used in this poem with simple explanation and examples from the poem. You can find refrain in the line, when did my childhood go? Was that the day when I lost my childhood? Alliteration in number of lines like the time, whichever way my mind can go, my mind, okay, they talked, that was that the day, and inversion is there to use whichever way I choose. Antithesis can be there in the line hell and heaven, and personification in the line it went to some forgotten place because it is referring to childhood here. Hope you all enjoyed this deep dive into childhood. Here are some important questions for your comprehension check, so solve them and deepen your understanding. And yes, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so that you never miss out on more insightful content. Thank you for watching.